Okay, so can everyone see the slides?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, because I think this is the first time I'm using Zoom, so I'm not sure how it works, but I think it's the same as WebEx. Okay, so hi, Assalamualaikum, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending my sharing session. I hope I can help you finish your thesis with some of my personal experience when I was studying my PhD many years ago. Okay. Okay. So my name is Dr. Jasmine Rashid, or like Asmani said, my name is very long, so I'd rather you remember me just as Dr. Jasmine Rashid. A little bit about myself. Okay, I am currently a senior lecturer at the School of Tourism, Hospitality and Event Management at UUM. I finished my PhD in 2015 at the University of Surrey. I did my master's in 2004, University of Queensland, and I did my degree at the University of Surrey again in 2001. Okay, so currently I teach mostly hospitality subjects, and my thesis was actually about backpacker tourism and backpacker hostels. Okay, so let's go straight to my tips. Okay, so my first tip is actually to set or renew your intentions. I'm not sure how many international students are here, but I can see at least one. Tapi I think most of you are from Malaysia or you're Malay. So niat lah kan. So either you set it or you renew it. Okay, so the niat would be like I am doing my master's or PhD because blah 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 lah. Okay, for me when I was doing my PhD, it was truthfully it was because I wanted my job promotion. I wanted to increase my pay, and then what else? It was also a requirement from my employer. Okay, so that was my main niat lah, my main intention. So for all you guys, it might be different. It might be because your parents wanted you to do it, or because you memang nak menimba ilmu lah. Okay, memanglah kita menimba ilmu pun kan, memang when we're doing our studies. So when you have this intention, then usually it will relate to who you are accountable to. Okay, so when I was doing it, I was under the SLAB or the JPA scholarship. So I am accountable to my sponsors. Okay, and I am accountable to my employers. And I am responsible for finishing my PhD because they are using, or I am using taxpayers' money to pay for my scholarship, to pay for my allowance. Okay, so every time I feel demotivated or I feel a bit lazy to do it or feel like giving up, I have to revisit this niat. And then usually it will help me pick up lah, okay, and try and finish it. Okay, so when you have this niat, it should be followed by lots of doa, prayers, and acts of sunnah because it helps you focus lah. Okay, so in terms of doa, usually when before I go and see my supervisors, I will read the Rabbi Shrah li doa. I think most of the Muslims or the Malays know this, so that whatever I tell them, they can understand and they can help me with my thesis. Okay, itu satu doa lah. Kalau ada doa-doa lain pun boleh baca. And then even before my first day of registration, I also did like a solat hajat to make sure that everything goes perfectly because I've heard a lot of nightmare stories about this PhD journey. So kita rasa takut. Okay, so I was always asking help from Allah lah. And then try and do as much acts of sunnah as possible. Okay, macam sedekah or helping your friends out, helping people out, semua itulah. Okay, so the first thing is your intention because this will help in making sure that you finish this journey. Okay. Next is conducting effective supervisor meetings. So I shared a few pictures because all of my slides are a little bit boring. So here's a picture of me and my supervisors. I had actually 3 supervisors. One of them was in the States. So these 2 were in Surrey. What are effective supervisor meetings? So bila nak pergi meeting to make sure you always send them, email them, one of your drafts or any documents that you need them to fill up. Okay. For me, it was either my chapter drafts or my conceptual framework or my objectives, or even all the forms that my employers and my sponsors wanted them to fill up. So usually I will email them and tell them, okay, on my appointment day, I'm going to do this. So they are also ready to fill up the form, or you can email them the form, and on the meeting, they will give you back the form lah, okay? So firstly, you email them this document in advance, and then before you go to the meeting, you have to set your own meeting agenda, meaning that what are you going to discuss? Are you just going to discuss your draft that you sent them? Or you want to discuss, let's say you want to attend a conference and then you want to present a poster. So you want to ask them about your poster or your proceeding, or even ask them, should you go to this conference or not? All this should be in the agenda. So don't go empty-handed and just sit there and just wait for your supervisor to tell you what to do. Okay, that's not very effective or even productive. Okay, so set your meeting agenda. And then, this is very important, during the meeting, make sure you take notes. Okay, if they talk too fast, then probably you'll need to record the meeting. I think most supervisors would be okay with that. Otherwise, just bring a notebook or a piece of paper and just jot down. Especially if you send a draft and they want you to do some corrections, because sometimes when we just listen, we can't pick up everything. So when you're writing it down, you can, at the end of the meeting, you can double check. Is this what you want me to do? Or is it something else? Okay, so take down the notes. And then when you finish your meeting, go back to your office or to the library or wherever that you go after the meeting. You should sit down and write all the to-do items. What do you have to do? Do you have to rewrite this paragraph? Do you have to start writing your poster or start writing the abstract if you're going to a conference? Okay. So here I have my own. This is the real jot down of my to-do item when I was doing my PhD. I can't remember when this is. I think this is around my first year. So I wrote that I emailed them my literature review on backpackers, and they asked me to choose a definition and then actually prioritize which literature that relates to my research, and then all the deadlines lah. When I should start submitting my proposal, who to contact to submit all my proposal punya stuff lah. Okay, so everything is in your to-do list. Okay. So next we have number 3, set your deadlines. So for the deadlines, it's actually up to you. Some supervisors, they are very clear cut. They will tell you, okay, I want this chapter by next week, the next chapter by next week, this research by whatever date. Some supervisors, they let you decide on your own. It's your research, you do what needs to be done. For me at the time, I think I just decided and I double checked with them. Is it okay that I send you 1 chapter a month? Okay, so these chapters don't really have to be like perfect chapters. When I sent it, it was really rough draft. Sometimes it's just headings with some description underneath the headings about what I was going to write about. Or if you are really into it at the time, it's nearly ready and quite perfect pun boleh juga, up to you, okay? So it could be by chapter or it could be by milestones. So milestones ni meaning all the important deadlines lah, okay? So the first very important deadline is usually your colloquium. So let's say by 6 months you have to have your colloquium, then in between two, what do you have to do? write up your research idea. Lepas tu set up the meeting, set up the application kan to the graduate school for your presentation. Okay, and then your PD, and then your correction, and then the resubmission. So those are your milestones. So milestones ni your task as well as the date. Sometimes it will move di ke depan kan, because you're not sure when you can get it done. Another way to set your deadline is looking at your sponsor's expectations. Okay, so JPA at the time, they gave me like progress report. Progress report too, they will write there, okay, every 6 months, this is what has to be done, or this is what your progress should be. By first year, you have to have your PD. By second year, you have to collect data and analyze. By third year, you should be writing up. So you can also put the real dates on the sponsor's expectations and work towards that. So at least you nampak dah, alamak, sempat tak? Am I going to make it in the first year, or do I have to do my PD 1.5 years? If it's 1.5 years, then you have to catch up lah when you collect your data and do your analysis. Another deadline is set by the university. I think UUM, they will send like kind of reminders. If you haven't done your colloquium in a certain time period, they will tell you that you'll be terminated. Something like that lah kan. So colloquium, certain time, and then PD, and then the rest lah. Okay, so this deadline ni you kena set berapa tarikh dia. Okay, what date, the actual date of when you have to submit things, submit forms, submit first draft, submit second draft, do the corrections. The more detailed, the better. Okay. Tip number 4 is you have to refer to a lot of other reading materials. This is what I did. Okay, so it's not just your own research area. It could be other people's research. For instance, I've got here 5 research-related theses, meaning that not necessarily your own topic, but topic yang CP-CP yang a little bit like your topic, but in a different context. So for instance, I think one of the thesis here, I don't remember which one, is about hotels. I did mine on hostels, but this friend of mine, she did it in hotels, and she used the same framework as me. So I look up her thesis and look up how she adopted and adapted that framework, but I used it within my context. Okay, so you can, for my university at the time, you can actually borrow this thesis and put it in your office and just flip it. Just use it whenever you need it, and then just keep it safe lah. Because at the end of your studies, you have to return it to the library, or at the time it was the school library lah, School of Hospitality Library. Next is looking at seminal papers. Okay, seminal papers is actually part of your literature review lah. You have to know what are the most important papers and authors within your thesis too. Okay, so I don't know if you can read this, but my research was on the influence of backpack hostel, servicescape on social interaction. Okay, so I like to doodle. I always like draw mind map so I can see exactly what the variables are and who the authors, the very important authors that write on the different variables lah. Okay, so mine, so I have your seminal papers, ni memang conteng yang dulu ni, berapa tahun 2011 I think. So hostel, the one that wrote a lot about hostel is this Musa, one of the authors, and Hecht and Martin. So meaning that you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 papers ni macam in your heart lah. Okay, you really have to know these authors and what they say, because they make up the tulang belakang lah, the spine of your thesis. Okay, so when you have this, if you're lost, then you just tengok balik, you look them up and keep reading them and try and see how they relate to your own thesis. So kalau macam tu, this will take a long time actually. This won't take like in the first semester or in the first 6 months. Probably towards the end of your proposal writing, barulah benda ni come together, and then you know for sure that these are the authors that matter, and that you will look up other authors that cite these authors. Okay, so meaning these are very, very strong and very important paper that actually support your thesis. Bukan nak kata, I'm not saying that there's only 5 of them, but yang ni you kena faham betul-betul, and then it's easy for you to keep going back and relating their studies to your studies and to other studies. Okay. Next is we have PhD guide or handbooks. These are my 3 favorite PhD guidebooks. I have actually, I think I bought at the time, I don't know, at least 6 or 7 or even 10 PhD guidebooks ni. Because every time I go to a workshop during my studies, the library ataupun the school will always refer or suggest these books. Okay, so at the end, I use 3 of this and plus another 2. Okay, so you have PhD guidebooks as well as an academic phrasebook. So this is kind of like a shortcut lah juga. You have some phrasebooks, phrases that help you show the reader where your gap is or what previous studies have done. So there are different sentence structures to show, oh, this is what other people have done, this is what I'm going to do. So this is very good because it's much a shortcut lah kan. You don't have to think about, oh, how do I write this differently? Not just based on someone stated. Okay, so that is your reading. Okay, on top of your all the hundreds of journals that you have to read, it's best to have this by your side lah. Okay, so you can refer to them all the time. And then we have set up your work desk. Okay, I was very lucky because during my studies, we were given our own work desk. So you can see here, I've got all the thesis that I can just buka, selak-selak, tengok, read up. And then I think these are some of my methods book, research methods book. Ingat lagi, these are all the journals. And then there's some food. Okay, that was my draft thesis. So when you have your own work desk and you know exactly where everything is, so you tak adalah macam kena kemas kan. So if you don't have it, then you probably have to bring your stuff everywhere, put it down, and then go through, and then maybe forget, where did I put this? Where did I put my journal? Then that takes time to find out. Okay, so when you have it, you can just use it straight away. I also like to use these post-its. So these are my deadlines. Kau nampak macam gancat ni. The deadlines are always there. So when you go to your desk, you can see straight away, oh, I have to finish chapter 1 by this date, chapter 2 by that date, have to submit the final version by this date. Sampai you have to write the deadlines 3 years in advance. So you can see, are you progressing well or are you macam lambat? You're gonna apa tu tak sempat kan nak fulfill the deadline and what you have to do to catch up. And then you have, I think this one was my what was it, problem statement or something like the gap lah. So every day I look at the gap. Okay, when I look at the gap, then I know, okay, this literature will help me show that there is a gap, or it can help me fill the gap, something like that. Okay, so I like using lots of colorful things. So if you do not have office space given to you by the university, I suggest that you have like a home office. So home office ni tak semestinya, it doesn't have to be a whole room for your office lah. It could be just a desk with some shelves, and then your work, you punya all lah, reference ke, journal ke, all your stuff, pen, paper, stationery, your desktop, your printer, everything should be there. Okay, same as the office space. So whenever you feel like doing work, just go to your desk, and then you can just straight away buat je. You don't have to like look for stuff in your bag or it was in somewhere else lah. Okay, so that is your work desk. And then some writing tips. Okay, so this writing tip, the suggestion is write 1,000 words a day minimum. So if you don't to fulfill this, don't stop. Not really. So this 100 words a day minimum is actually to make you feel productive and that you are going somewhere. If you do not see it usually, you're just like printing stuff or writing stuff or just jotting down notes, then maybe tak nampak, rasa macam, what did I do today? So when you actually write it down on your computer lah kan, you can feel good and it will be more motivational for you to keep going. So what can you write? All this suggestion is in the form of draft. You can draft your problem statement, draft your research objective, research question, draft different paragraphs. It could be in a very good flow and everything, or it could just be any paragraph. Let's say you have a variable and then you write about that variable, and then only you connect the dots and make it flow better. The important thing is to just write. Don't wait for it to be perfect, or don't keep editing it. Rasa macam, tak sedap lah ayat ni, this sentence doesn't sound very right, I need to redo it. Then you will never get to your target. Okay, so the best way is actually to draft chapters lah. If you draft chapters, then definitely it's more than 1,000 words. So 1,000 words, I think it's around 3 pages lah. Okay, so that's not much really, but at least it's something you can look at and something you can feel good that you've actually done during your work day. Others are drafting article proceedings if you're submitting it. The tip here is to spend 2 hours writing and only writing. Okay, don't open other apps, no FB, because FB you can really get lost. Let's say you click on actually doing research on whatever lah your topic kan, that you see, oh, there's an FB link that discusses this topic, or you go to a doctorate support group. That's what I joined last time, and then you click this, and then ada link, you click lagi, click, tengok dah 3 jam, 3 hours have gone by because you've been clicking stuff, and then, oh, let's have a look at what my friend did, and this Instagram post, and even emails can also make you lose a few hours of your writing time. Okay, so here, to do this 1,000 word a day, if you're a morning person, when you go to your desk, open the Word document, get your articles out and write. And then you can take a break. Because if you start with open Chrome, Google Chrome, and then you start looking at emails and then other stuff, and this won't happen lah. This 1,000 word minimum. Okay, and then we have work 8 hours a day. So 8 hours ni is the typical office hours lah kan. So that's what I did. It wasn't actually 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I think it was more like 9:30 to 5:30. So since I have my own office space at the university, I went there every day except for the weekends. Weekends memang off day. I did not work over the weekend. At night pun I didn't work. So I did that up until I think it was data analysis. I went up for my data collection, and then I had my data analysis. And at the time, my scholarship was running out because it was only for 3 years. So that's when I stayed until nighttime and over the weekend. Otherwise, it was this 8 to 5. When I went home, I didn't look at any of my work at all. Okay, but some of you might prefer working during the night. Also, make it 8 hours. I don't know what time you start doing your research work, so make sure it's 8. Or you might start much early in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then up until afternoon. Or you want to do split shifts pun okay. You start in the morning, you take a break, do other personal stuff, and then continue at night. So this is up to your own preference lah. Okay. make sure it's 8 hours. Okay. Number 8, attend workshops. So this is not something that Boffin asked me to put in. This is very useful. I found it that it helped a lot, because when you attend workshops, you talk to other people, and then you can talk about your research and they can talk about their research. The most important thing is don't wait for your supervisor's suggestion. Since supervisor didn't say anything, no compulsory workshop that the graduate school told you to go to, you just tak payahlah pergi. Bukannya boleh buat apa-apa bukan. You already did research method class, you already did your academic writing class, so what else do you need, right? So that is very wrong attitude lah. Okay, so if you find anything that is relevant, attend it. And you should actively look for relevant events. Sometimes the university does not have access or distribute this kind of event, but you have social media and there's all kinds of stuff going on. So if it's a private one, attend it. If it's a university one, also even better, attend that one as well. But try not to attend too many similar ones. Okay, so let's say you attend how to write a literature review, you attend one, and then you saw another person giving it, and then you attend that one, and then ada a few lah, katalah you attend 5. That might confuse you actually, because everyone will give different styles or different tips, and it might seem that they are telling you this is the right way to do it. That way, the other way is wrong. But usually it is a suggestion or recommendation. So when you go to this workshop, you have to have that open mind and just pick up things that are yang sesuai lah, that you feel is suitable, as well as have your own reading. Okay, you have to read all these, like I said, the PhD guidebook, or even a book on writing literature review. Okay, same goes to research methods. There's so many out there. Make sure you don't go to too many of them that you get confused. Or even if you do attend all of them, just focus on maybe 1 or 2 workshops that's easy to follow and is relevant to your research area lah. Okay. These 3 tips here, writing tips, research methods, and research area workshops, these are the most important ones, I think. Writing tips like academic writing lah, how to write a literature review, how to write a critical literature review. Okay, because usually when you send the literature review, it's descriptive. So if anyone's offering that kind of workshop, you can go to that one and see how you actually write a critical literature review. This is not so much for master's thesis. I think it's mostly for the PhD thesis. Okay. Research method, so depending on what method you are adopting, choose appropriately. Or if you are at the beginning of your research, you might want to go to a few, like qualitative ones, quantitative ones, all the different SPSS, PLS, all that, and then decide which one is most suitable to your own research. Okay, and then research area, if you hear any workshops on, I don't know, for me, it's like tourism and hospitality, then I went to all of those and listened to how people collected data, what were their experiences, what were their research areas. Sometimes it's relevant to ours, but sometimes it's not, but it's still interesting. And you can ask about their research. Okay. Okay, number 9. When feeling malas, okay, so when you feel like, you're not in the mood and you don't want to do anything, or maybe you even want to quit, try and use this Pomodoro technique. It is actually a way of doing work in small chunks so that you don't feel overwhelmed sangat. Because otherwise, if you go to the office for 8 hours and you don't feel like doing anything for 8 hours, and you could be going on Facebook for 8 hours, if you try this technique, I think at least you will get some work that you can see on your screen being done. Okay, so how do you use the Pomodoro technique? First, you decide on the task to be done. Okay, so let's say you want to write or you want to draft. Usually it's just a draft, it won't be perfect. you want to write your problem statement. Okay, so if you are early in your research punya process, this might be a bit difficult because you have to write this a few times, but you have to start. So let's say your supervisor says, okay, go back and write a problem statement. So that is your task. Okay, so you set the timer, your phone ke ataupun a clock ke whatever. Usually you set it for 25 minutes. Okay, so what you do is set the timer, sit on your desk, open up Word document, and draft your problem statement. You could write this just from your head, what you think the problem is. You can do that for 25 minutes, or you can use all your literature again, because you actually need that to support whatever you're going to write. So either do that or use your literature. And it doesn't really have to be a proper paragraph. It could be bullet points or main points, or like author saying this, and how it relates to what you're researching. Okay, so you do that for 25 minutes. When the alarm goes off after 25 minutes, you take a short break. So when you take a short break, you tak ada rasa macam bila lah nak habis, like when is this ever going to end? Because in the beginning, you're already so malas and unmotivated. So if it's too long, if it's 1 hour long, then maybe you just stop halfway. So if 25 minutes and you just like typing stuff or referring to the journal and then putting stuff on, and you can see that it's actually coming together, then you feel more motivated to do another 25 minutes and another 25 minutes up until, if you want to do it up until the 8 hours that it's supposed to be in the office, that's the best. But if you feel that you've had enough after a few of this cycle, then you can stop. Okay, so what this technique does, it gives you greater focus because you only have 25 minutes and you know what you're supposed to do. Usually you will feel malas or like not motivated because you're there in the office, you know what you have to do, but where do you start? Okay, to start like a whole chapter from scratch from a blank paper is just susahnya, like it's never going to start lah, kan? You just need to start. So decide on the task, do it in 25 minutes, take breaks, and keep going. Okay, so inshallah you will get there lah. Okay, because kan sikit, and you get a break. You don't have to keep going for hours. Okay, so next we have number 10, which is, I think it's the best tip. Reward yourself. So I always rewarded myself after my supervisor meetings, regardless of the outcome. If it was positive, let's say they're happy with my even research objective pun, dah memang very happy again. That one you can just go on and have coffee or just relax or just take a few days off even, because sometimes to even get to that research objective that is being approved, it takes a while. Okay. Or you can reward yourself after finishing a draft of chapter 1, chapter 2, conclusion, abstract, or a draft even of your reference list. That one can also be an accomplishment of and be rewarded. Okay, and a big reward is when you finish your colloquium, even though you had a lot of reviewers, comments, lots of stuff to do, correct, examiner kata tu, semua ni kena buang. Okay, at least it's a milestone that you have reached. So just reward yourself, be happy, and just, because otherwise you feel burnt out ketika you have a lot of things to correct from your even colloquium, then you feel down and then you take the mood and then like, I'm never gonna finish this, kan? And then what can you do to reward yourself? You can decide whatever lah. Some people like shopping. Some people like a 3-day do nothing break. Dia tak nak buat apa-apa. You don't want to look at any journals. You don't want to touch any journal. You don't want to touch any books. Anything at all. Okay. Or you can go on a holiday. So this one, usually if it's a major one lah, you've done your PD, then you just go on a quick holiday and then come back and do your corrections. Or just go for a movie, have cake, or have ice cream. Okay. So that is 10 when you've done, not really done well, but you've achieved something, okay? Because even supervisor meetings, especially if it's a very positive one, memang happy kan, you want to celebrate. Okay, so those are my 10 tips. So good luck to everyone and all the best. So now I'd like to open the session to any questions that you might have. I think you can ask me on the video or even on the chats. Let me open the chat. Where's the chat?
Hi, Dr. Jasmine. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Tullah.
My name is Shazrin.
Okay.
So I just would like to ask regarding the yang 2 jam fokus untuk buat penulisan tu kan. Tak semestinya kita kena type. Kita boleh je draft dekat atas kertas, is it?
Boleh, boleh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the timing is up to us. Siang ke malam sebab ikut keselesaan kita, betul?
Yeah, some people really like working at night when it's very quiet and tak ada gangguan kan.
Yes.
Do that at night. Saya jenis siang, malam saya memang kena tidur.
Sebab saya jenis burung hantu sikit.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions?
We have questions in the chat box, Doctor.
Oh, okay, saya baru buka. Okay. Oh, banyaknya 30.
Yang tu diorang chat-chat.
Banyak yang bagi salam dulu. Ni we will get a recording version. Ada tak As? Tak tahulah.
Ya, ada.
Okay, ada. FB bukan hanyut. Nowadays kan tak kat rumah MCO. Oh, okay. Ni ada someone share. The only academic Facebook that you need. So I think you can Oh, okay. So ni semua PDF online. Dia orang boleh download ni. There's a lot of books here. So you can download it. It's even easier. You don't have to buy any books. How to think PhD. Okay. The first question. How do you deal with corrections of drafts by your main supervisor and co-supervisor? Any tips to avoid redundant mistakes? So I'm not very sure what maksudnya, do you mean like the supervisor asks you to do something and then the co-supervisor asks you to do a different thing? Or redundant mistakes ni macam mana?
Hi, Dr. Jasmine. I'm the one who asked this question. No, the thing is, I may have lost track the corrections that have been requested by the supervisors. I mean, say for example, draft 1, it has been corrected by the supervisor, and then in the following drafts, say for example, in the draft number 7, I tend to make the mistake that the supervisor have corrected in the first draft. Meaning to say that mainly probably sometime a few months after that, because I lost track what he has discussed or he has corrected earlier. How do I put this?
Do they correct it like using the review pane, or they just tell you what to correct? Usually.
There are 2 ways. It can be from the first one, orally and also written. But then, most of the mistakes are made due to the oral discussion.
I think maybe usually if they tell you what to correct in the katalah the first draft kan, do you write that down straight away masa dia tengah cakap tu? Do you write that down?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of having the same understanding between his request and also my understanding. I think that's the gap over there.
Okay.
So when I tend to write in this following draft, it happens again without noticing that is the one that my supervisor has mentioned earlier.
Okay, maybe that means that misunderstanding lah kot dia sebenarnya he asked you to do something, but you did something else, and he's still not happy with the thing that you did. So mungkin when you give back the first time you did the correction, does he read it and tell you that that is what he wants, or dia just macam janji you buat, dia tak check dah yang first tu?
I guess that's up to my draft. I mean, the thing is, Doctor, the reason why I state the co-supervisor because sometimes the co-supervisor is the one who highlighted that Zahid, you have made this mistake in the earlier draft. My main supervisor does not really highlight it. That the rest of the supervisor said we have discussed this in the earlier discussion, Zahid. So this is the kind of this is the kind of mistakes that I have been doing. I guess the reason being is that it's a matter of having a different understanding between the first, and because I believe my understanding on the thesis also develops over time.
Yeah, definitely. To avoid this, katalah you doing the same mistake kan, I think maybe bila you take note of what he wants you to change, you take note kan, lepas tu bila you balik office you ke balik rumah ke, you tulis balik kata this is what you wanted me to do, and then you email them straight away, and then mungkin sebenarnya dia pun supervisor ni, bukan nak kata supervisor you lah, tapi kan supervisor ni dia ada banyak PhD student kan, dia pun kadang tak ingat tau dia suruh you buat apa.
Understood,
so when you email them and then you tell them which page or whatever that they commented on, and then katalah you did a little bit of correction already kan, a draft correction, tanya balik, ini ke yang you nak, is this what you mean by blah blah blah. Kadang-kadang dia nak suruh buat benda lain tapi kita faham benda lain, so kalau dia kata bukan, I tak nak macam ni pun, you kena buat macam ni, then you know, oh you sebenarnya you tak correct pun, you buat lagi salah kan.
Okay. Betul tu.
Sebab yelah dia kan dia expert, dia cakap sekali je dia dah expect you tahu, you baru nak faham kan apa konsep
baru nak menangkap. Okay.
Dah cakap Melayu dah ni, so if there are any international students just ask again. Okay,
thank you Doctor.
Okay, no problem. Next question. Family problem, health problem. I'm not sure I'm the best to give this advice because I'm not sure how serious your problem is. But if it is really serious, like you have a health problem that makes you very sick, ataupun memang you tak sihat kan, so you can't function like a normal healthy person, then maybe you kena tangguh ke, you have to discuss this with your supervisor. I had a lot of friends when I was doing my PhD yang had like relationship problems with the husband ke wife ke, lepas tu ada yang keguguran, keguguran tau lepas tu adalah mak sakit, lepas tu ada yang mak kecederaan, ada juga yang mak dia overseas kan, mak dia kat rumah kan, lepas tu mak dia kena operation semua. And I'm not sure how it is here, but over there you are allowed to take panggil apa, macam tangguh lah, and tangguh tu tak semestinya one full semester, it could be for a month for you to go back and visit your family or to find a solution to your problem. Tapi it's best that you tell your supervisor, because supervisor tak sure what is the next step, you go to graduate school or whoever's in charge, you punya coordinator ke, the postgraduate coordinator, discuss this, and they probably have those problems from other students as well, and then they can advise you accordingly. Macam masa saya, when I was doing my PhD in Surrey, I was pregnant and then I gave birth. So my supervisors, they actually advised that I take, I think it was 6 months off, tangguh 6 months to concentrate on recovering, berpantang semua tu, and looking after my baby. But alhamdulillah, there wasn't any complication. And then I also had my husband over. So I just took like 2 months after pantang tu, I went back to work. Tak adalah macam produktif sangat, but I went back because kalau duduk rumah pun I couldn't do any work at home. So if you have any of these issues, I think you have to talk to your supervisor and tell them. Because sometimes diorang fikir, some students feel that supervisors ni dia nak suruh siap je. Dia tak kisah pun. You sakit ke, you ada problem ke. But if you don't tell them, they wouldn't know. And there are always procedures lah to help you. Okay, so I hope that helps. So cute.
Assalamualaikum, Doctor.
Assalamualaikum.
I'm Fatima Wahida.
Okay.
Talking about supervisors. Interestingly, my SV is has this opposite perception of PhD, because I'm also under scholarship. So I'm the one who's always productive, always asking questions, always giving drafts, and she's always replying. Sometimes 2 weeks late, 3 weeks late, and I just have to be patient. And what bothers me the most is that sometimes when I say, because this is my third semester, I'm just coming into third semester, and I always tell her, can I do my DP now? Because I have about 200 pages already for my defense, for my proposal, and I keep on reminding her, can I do my DP now? And she's always telling me, it's okay, Fatima, these things take time. So how can I deal with that kind of SV? How should I tell her that I need to follow the timeline given by KPT?
Because I'm not sure why she's saying that, because I'm sure she also wants you to graduate like on time again. She must sometimes, like even when I was doing my PhD, I was like, I have my like konon draft proposal kan, and then all my friends were presenting their research idea. I'm like, can I present? Sibuk lah kan, I pun nak present juga. Lepas tu dia kata macam, I'm not sure if it's the same case or not, dia kata macam, okay, you just relax lah, dia kata nanti you present kan, you kena tembak, baru bukan cakap macam tu kan, but you don't already know what you're doing kan masa tu, padahal masa tu belum meeting lagi. But if that's the case, let's say she's actually happy with your work, so you've written it well, and then memang tak adalah masalah salah teori ke or the major stuff, and then she just thinks that you're going too fast, which is, I think all supervisors would be happy lah if you're student fast. You need to tak tahu lah, you dah highlight belum, kata your scholarship ends at what date, at what year? Ada tak beritahu dia?
I do, because like you said, we have to give forms, right? They have to fill in forms.
Dia tengok tak semua tu?
Tengok. So, okay, Prof, I have to graduate by 2023, Prof. So I'm trying to do this as fast as I can and everything. And then my recent meeting with her, she seemed to be happy, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's her ego. Dia macam nak say, it's good, but
kalau dia kata but tu kan, you just tanya lagi apa nak kena tambah.
Okay, so I just follow lah, senang kata, just ikut je.
Kalau tak apa, you kena tunjuk yang deadline yang KPT tu lah, yang KPT kata you have to PD by 1 year.
Yeah, by 18 months kan.
You tunjuk deadline semua tu. And kalau tak, you bukanlah nak tipu, tapi macam you kena ugut dia lah. Nanti I punya scholarship kena berhenti ke apa.
I did mention on my previous meeting, but then itulah she said, it's okay, biasalah benda ni. So I'm getting so nervous right now, but like I'm trying my best to just follow whatever she's advice, and itulah buat je lah kan. But itulah I don't know how to sometimes. Tak tahu macam mana nak deal.
Nak push juga, maybe you boleh collect all the documents, macam all the forms untuk PD tu, bawa je kat dia, macam nak hint lagi lah. I tak tahu universiti macam mana kan, because all macam kena contact this person, and katalah I dah contact Miss who's in charge of PD, and she suggested kan supervisor yang kena isi kan barang-barang PD tu. Kalau you berani lah kan, nampak macam dia friendly. So kalau dia lagi nampak you memang nak go, nak progress lah kan, tak tahulah, tak pernah dengar lagi macam ni.
Okay, I try my best.
Okay, good luck.
minta doktor doakan saya.
Doa-doa semua dipermudahkan. Amin.
Thank you.
Okay, Pomodoro. Alamak, ada yang nak tanya Pomodoro. I think there's one question about the Pomodoro. I think it's a type of tomato, and I think it is, but they just used it as the name of the technique. So I don't know the history behind it, but I knew I used it and it was very effective when you're malas. Okay. Alamak. Okay. I think everyone's going to get the slides kan. So then, ni ada orang share YouTube Pomodoro. Okay, good. How you wrote your discussion chapter? How you wrote? Apa maksud ni? I'm not sure what you mean by how you wrote your discussion chapter. You want to see my discussion chapter? Or?
Sorry, doctor. I mean, like how the strategy or the techniques you present your discussion chapter. Like first you link your results with the previous findings. After that, do you include any implication in the discussion chapter? Although you could mention it in a separate chapter, but I saw some people include they interpret after they connect the findings with previous study. They also upgrade the readers to another level. Like they interpret what is this connection or the contrast similarity with previous study means, and how is it applicable to the practical context. I mean, I'm still confused about these things because last time I submitted an article, the editor told me why in the discussion chapter you didn't include any practical implication. But when I relate to the thesis, I think that the implication, like pedagogical or theoretical implication, we include in a separate chapter, like chapter 5. But in the discussion part, we don't have to include the implication in the discussion part. But for the articles, the editor told me like you have to include what is the significance of the results in a discussion.
I think there's a difference between a journal article discussion and the actual thesis discussion. And usually it depends on the university. Some universities, they ask you to combine the conclusion and the discussion right after findings. Depends on the format. When I was at Sari, they give you the freedom to do the chapters according to your research area and according to your supervisor's approval. So for you, maybe you need to either find out from your graduate school or look at the formatting and what are the subheadings or the headings that they want in the discussion chapter. I think that's the best lah, because the examiner will be looking at the university's format to grade you, right? So every university or most university, no, I don't know, most or each university might have different formats. Even though usually discussion too, it should be you related to previous findings, and then you'd have both implications, managerial and theoretical implications, and then have your limitations, and then you definitely have recommendations for future research right after the limitations, and then you have one small concluding paragraph, something like that. But if you want to have a look at how I wrote my thesis, I can share I can share that. But to tell you to do it like I did it, I don't think that's the best, because I don't know what university wants.
Okay, sure, doctor. I'm very happy if you can share how you wrote the discussion chapter so that we can learn from the way you wrote. And I also understand that it depends on the format of each educational institution, and there is no fast rule about how you write the discussion chapter. Okay, I got it. Thank you, doctor.
I'm just gonna write in the chat, just look up hostel service gate. Usually my name will come up. Oops, sure. Well, I don't know if I can chat to you directly. It's in the chat, so towards the end, so you can try and do that. Okay, I'm going through the chats. Another question: how to build self-confidence to do PD? Self-confidence. I'm not sure how to reply to that. You just have to, if you're not confident, I think you just have to practice. So either you give that presentation to your supervisors, if they don't mind listening, or to your friends. When I was doing my PhD, we had a lot of research seminar. So you are always presenting your stuff, even if it doesn't have any data, your literature or whatever progress that you're making, you will share it. So once you've done that, usually you have a bit more confidence lah. And usually if your supervisor says you are ready, then I think that would make you confident, I think. Okay, so just talk about it in class or talk about it with your friend. If they have time or they want to listen to you, then that would build your confidence to just talk about it. And they ask them to ask questions. When they ask questions and then you start, then you know that, oh, you might need to polish up on this literature or whatever lah. Okay. Another question. How do you deal with the silent SV? Do not give any timeline. Also, do not follow up our work. I'm not sure if this is your main SV or your co-SV. Kalau main tu is a bit problematic because you actually need your main supervisor's approval for everything. Kalau co-SV, they are also part of the team, but I'm not sure how strong their role is, because when I was doing it, the co will always ask me to double check with the main. Dia takkan berani, they won't approve you to submit your proposal or to even present at a seminar or even a poster if your main doesn't approve of it. So if silently, I'm not sure. Do you want to explain further or? Okay, so there's another friend who's experiencing the same thing. Change faculty. So if it seems that they're not doing their job, that would be the best way lah, to just change supervisors. This is especially important in the beginning of your studies. Tapi kalau at the end tu macam susah jugalah kan, mesti progresi lambat kan, because there's no feedback from your supervisor. So that one also you have to talk to your coordinator and see what is the procedure if this happens. Okay. Question about Atlas and Vivo, Mendeley. I went to a lot of workshops on NVivo, but I didn't use it because kenapa? Because I think I'm quite old school. I'm the kind that prints all my PDF files, I conteng, I write on it, and then I pick up and then I rewrite the main notes onto my Word, and then I make sense of it, and then I write the flow and all that. So memang tak ada shortcut lah to me lah, because I think when I went to the workshop, they showed me how to do the literature using the software, but mungkin saya lambat, I lambat sikit nak tangkap, so I thought, it's taking so long to learn it, so I'm just going to do it my way. Mendeley, I did use for my referencing and citation. I think I used that. I think. Tak ingat lah. PD, what is PD? PD is proposal defense. So once you write your proposal, you have to present it to examiners. Okay. Oh, sorry, dah ada orang jawab. Okay, thank you. Saya baca satu ni kan. Okay. Okay, Can I explain a problem statement as a diagram during proposal defense? Okay, there's a question about problem statement in a diagram. I'm not sure how that works. I think you have to ask your supervisor. Usually problem statement is in a form of a short paragraph. Like if you're doing it in a slide, it should be in the form of sentences and paragraphs, so it's easier to understand. But I guess you should do both lah. If you want to not juga buat diagram, boleh, tapi kena diikuti ataupun before that you should have the problem statement in proper sentences. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor.
Okay, you're welcome. Anything else? I think that's all. Can the chats? If I haven't answered your question, you can ask me directly, I think. Message. Okay. So I think that's probably the end. I'm not sure if Puan Asmani is going to help end it or how this works.
Someone asking for your contact number, Doctor.
Contact number.
Or email. Or
email boleh kot. Contact number I'm not too happy to share, but you can email me. I always check my email and inshallah I will reply straight away. Inshallah.